What's going on, fellow humans and resellers? Figure I'll turn on the camera and try to get through this one. It is Thursday morning. And let me focus on eBay real quick before I get into shipping the little orders I do have. And before getting off the rails on this video, just in case that happens. All right, so eBay. Okay, most of you guys know, if you saw my community post, why I didn't make a video yesterday. All right, so Tuesday, eBay was probably the worst. It's probably been the lowest number I've seen in a very long time, even lower than the last time I said that, I think. Only made it up to $451 on Tuesday. Didn't even hit $500. That was the, and I sold 36 items. That was the day I noticed that they had changed the search. When you page down, the page numbers disappeared and that little load more button popped up, which I didn't like. I made a video about it, how I feel like that hides items. I ended up calling in probably about 5 that evening because I was desperate, had to do something. And at least I got somebody more talkative and stuff, but I still don't think she put in a ticket for anything because I didn't have nothing direct. But when I started talking about that page thing, she didn't know about it. And then I went and looked, and it's back to the old way where it has the page numbers. And I looked this morning, it's back to the page numbers. So don't know if it's going to be, I guess it's a rollout change maybe or something, or maybe they tested it to see if it'd work. And maybe everybody got extremely low sales that day. So they're like, wait a minute, something's wrong. I don't know. I'm not sure. But whatever happened that day definitely took my sales lower than I can remember it's ever being. I don't rarely remember it going below $500. So yesterday it seemed like it was all just low dollar media selling. Like it was really, there was some hats, but it definitely it felt like the price per item price per item average was a lot lower yesterday. Only made it up to $632. And at about 5 p.m., I almost had $500 at 5 p.m. So I'm like, oh, that's good. But of course, you can't count on that anymore because it literally changes in an instant. So from like 2 a.m. to 5 p.m., I got near $500. And from 5 p.m. till 2 a.m., an extra $130. So it definitely shut off, and it seemed like about that's why I was saying you can't predict a day anymore just because it will literally flip in an instant and will not stay consistent throughout the day like it used to. It is 9 a.m. on this Thursday. I'm at $94, but a lot of that's one bigger item, and I just got another sale. That's good. But one of them's a bigger dollar item, which takes up almost half of that. Actually, with shipping, it probably takes up half of that. I'm down 3.5% again, so it's got me down in the negatives. And I've only sold 4 items this morning. 3 promoted, 1 organic. Where the last couple of mornings I noticed my organic took off first, and the promoted was playing catch up. So being that promoted is coming out first out of the gate today, maybe that's a sign that there was something wrong with promoted the last couple of days. Promoted's always seems to have been like a root of a problem for a very long time. And that would probably make sense if that's their main algorithm search, is the promoted so they can make the most money they can. So it would make sense that that is probably the most unstable part of the algorithm, because you never know what it could entail. Does it only entail like higher dollar items first, or through a portion of the day, and anything lower than a certain amount they don't care about? Do they care about anything under $20? Right? So, of course, that's all speculation. Of course. Tomorrow we'll look at the numbers of the week and see where we are. But let's see what just sold. See what that's going to put me up to. And that doesn't look like updated. Let me refresh my mailbox. All right. And it was a hat, at least. Because I pulled no hats this morning. There was one from yesterday here, but no hats overnight. At least we got one now. All right. I got wordstamps.com was working, but it's like, it takes forever to pull over the items. It takes forever to print up a label. And when it pulls the items over, it pulls it over doubled. So it's not working properly. So I think I'm just going to go back to stamp or pirate ship for the day. Because it's just about as slow now. So I kind of like with my daily numbers I take, like every day I'll take daily numbers. I'll write down how much is going into the bank account. And then the pirate ship sends me daily how much I spent on shipping. And then I can look and make sure I'm hitting my profit, or, my break-even number at least for the day. And then I have it broken down into 5-day increments. So that after every 5 days, if something's not looking right, I can try to do something about it. So maybe at the end of the month, maybe I'll make a video on what I do there. Since, as you know, I don't keep track of my numbers per se for taxes or anything, because the tax people do all that. They just sign into my accounts and grab all the numbers. So for me to know what to keep a real eye on daily, making sure that I hit the numbers I want to hit, I keep a written log I do daily, so I know where I'm at. Like as of right now, for the month, we're 11 days in, I am down $800. So I'm $800 in the negative, not being able to pay all my bills, right? But that does include, I think Jan spent about $400 at the bins on like 4 different bin occasions at the beginning of the month. So I'm only technically down 4 from the business standpoint, with something I could have controlled. So, that might have included yard sale stuff too. So probably wasn't all her. So there's another looked like a decent size sale. So that's good, positive. Hopefully I'll have that good day, since the promoted started out a little bit higher. But we're gonna get started here, and we got good to see a few lots. So, but they were all media. But still, hey, that's works for me. So first up, we've got a cassette lot headed to Brooklyn, New York. Altogether sold for $36.40. Basically classical, mostly classical and easy listening type of stuff. So super major, George Winston, some nature sound stuff, some classical. Yeah. So, I like to talk off the top of my head. Whatever's on my mind. On a positive note, baby girl's back down here. She's hidden on her bed, but she's back down here. She's going around smelling everything. I found a board so we could make a stretcher out of it. Because he could... Barn was at a point where he couldn't move. He was all day yesterday, up until his appointment. This is too big for this. He was stuck laying on his side. Let me get him some mailers. This one's still big. Isn't the same one? It's a little bit different. But, he was stuck on his side, so we just sat with him, fed him. He would still eat. He whined wanting to get up. He couldn't. So we just sat with him all day till his appointment at 2:30. Fed him, petted him. I laid with him. Just heartbreaking. I love my puppies. I'm here all day, every day. And as you probably know, he was my shadow. And I would have... I would hide from him. And he would tear up the house looking for me all over. Just where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? I always got a kick out of it and always jump out and scare him. And his tail would start going crazy. He was the first dog I had who was like very protective too. I mean, this was his house and he had to know everybody who was coming into it. And he would let you know he was there. Never had a puppy that protective before. Let me see what I want to put this in. Let's go with why he was the most, I probably connected to him the most out of any of the pups I've ever had. When I was young, my dad and my mom, like I guess a 3 or 4 foot plush Saint Bernard. And it had a bank on it, like one of the big carnival toys, I guess, like in the 70s. And it was in the house for as long as I could remember growing up. And my mom always wanted a real Saint Bernard. And just having that animal there, never seeing one in person, I always wanted one too. Then when my Greyhound girls passed, some of you probably heard this story. I was sitting at the bank and a car pulled up. And I think to this point, I still had never seen a Saint Bernard in real life. they're just few and far between, right? You don't just see them, especially if you don't go looking for them. But so a car pulled up in the next aisle in the bank, and there was a St. Bernard hanging out the window. You're just sitting there, just looking out, and I'm like, oh, I've always wanted to start telling Jan how I always wanted a St. Bernard. And then a few days later, we were at the bins, and I found this pack I picked up. It was sealed, and it's in storage somewhere, so I know when I find it, I'm going to break down. And it could be a year down the road, and it's still, going to affect me. I found a pack, and in it was a backpack for a St. Bernard. It had a St. Bernard picture on it, and rescue pack, and all this and that. So, of course, I bought that. And that was like number 2. And then a few days after that, a friend of mine that I've known since high school on Facebook tagged me in the St. Louis Stray Rescue video that you can see below of Vern being rescued. Because I had took a picture of the St. Bernard in the drive-thru, and of course shared it on Facebook. Then took a picture of the pack. I think I did. Shared it on Facebook. So everybody knew I was all of a sudden hooked on the St. Bernard. So when all of a sudden she saw Vern being rescued, she tagged me in that video. And as soon as I saw the video, I'm like, I got to get him. And Jan called down immediately to the stray rescue. And we set up an appointment to go down and meet him. Then the next day we took Courtney down there to make sure she messed with him. And they said they had other applicants for him. Whether they did or not, they just say that, I'm not sure. But so I made sure I sold myself that we've got a big backyard fenced, how many puppies I've had, how I just lost my 2 greyhounds. And I want to get somebody to grow old with Courtney. That seemed they would go about the same age, right? Or, same time, I should say. She's probably got 2 more years in her, which I was hoping he had. But, so I think they called the next day because they didn't really have room for him. They were full. They're always full. That's why they're building a new facility now. So I think it was like maybe 3 days after the initial tag, he was in the house. And it might have been actually even the same day, actually. We might have went back that night after Courtney. Because I remember loading him in the car at night. So, at least I had a few sales come through. So that's how he made it. So his videos are below if you've never seen his rescue video. And his first video playing with Courtney. They are below. Double Dragon NES video game booklet. Headed to Crystal Lake, Illinois. Sold for $5.50. But the one thing I've got with this puppy than any other, all the other puppies were like kind of instant death. Sable, the Greyhound Doberman mix that I met when I met Jan Sheehan, and she turned into my girly. Her rear end just gave out on her, so she couldn't move anymore. So we had to have her put down that same day. When we had her, I wanted to get her a playmate, so we took her to PetSmart when they had an adoption thing going on. And there was a pup there, a black lab, that was returned twice, supposedly because of too big. And I thought, well, maybe the dog had other issues too. So he comes out of the cage, and Sable and Rocco, right off the bat, just hands down, butt in the air like they're ready to play. And they start playing with each other right there in the store. I go, he's coming with us. and I won't bring him back, no matter what. He was so gentle. He was my buddy. That was his. Sable was girly girl. Rocco was my buddy. Very loyal. Black labs are loyal and kind of, very high intelligence. He was my buddy. But they played constantly. Then we got a wild card in the mix. Sorry about this. Sorry about the sniffles. When Northwest Plaza was up and going, there was a husky running through the parking lot in the rain. So I got him to come to me. We got him in the car. We went to the local dog places to see if there was anybody was missing a husky. He had no chat, no collar, no chip, nothing. Left all of our information at the dog place. Nobody ever called, so he became a household pet. So he had a little aggression with the other dogs, unfortunately. But he would try to play also. So when Sable and Rocco would be playing in the yard, he was like the third one out. I always called him like the referee because he was always just going around them, But he wanted to make sure he tried to make sure he was the dominant one, but Sable was the dominant one. And she showed him. She would, even though she was a girl, she would kind of ride his back, like, how they're going to have sex type of thing. But it's in a show of dominance, like I control you type of thing. So she showed him that this is her house. So she went down, and then it was just Rocco and Kane. And then I don't know how we got introduced to greyhounds. It might have been me on Facebook seeing the stray rescue. And the greyhounds had like sable eyes, so Jan was on board right off the bat. So they actually brought Amy out to the house to see if she would blend with the other dogs, and she went and found her spot on the couch where she laid her whole life. That was her spot. Right the first night she was here. So she stayed that day. So then we had Rocco, Kane, and Amy. Amy, I never really had a nickname for. She turned into this was her house. She turned into the dominant one after that. She was a Brindle greyhound. She was like a grade B racer. She either came in first or second in basically all of her races. I think she came in third one time. They used to have a thing online that showed that. So that's how I kind of knew that information. And not too long after that, the Gray Strayhounds was setting up at that same pet store that I've got Rocco at. So I went up there, and that's when I got Jenny. She was like a white with brown spots greyhound. Her nickname was Moo Moo, so I called her Moo Moo. So I brought her home that day. So then we had 4. So we got Rocco, Kane, Amy, and Jenny. Next to go down was Rocco, my buddy. That hurt. He started getting fluid on the lungs, so he's having a very hard time breathing. And Jenny was and this has gone on maybe, over a year time. They're all 4 in the household. At one time, they were all 4 sleeping on the same bed as me and Jan. All 4. Yeah, it was tight. Funny too, but tight. So he was always down here with me. Jenny was very independent. Amy was very independent. Every once in a while, they would come down and lay down here with me also. Kane was very independent, would stay with himself. Every once in a while, he'd come down. Rocco was always down here with me. Then the one day, he just started breathing really heavy, and he couldn't breathe. Jenny knew something was wrong. She stayed by his side the whole time, which was weird. I'd never seen any of our dogs stick by each other when they felt something wasn't right. So that sticks out in my head. We got a Rolling Stone tape lot. Headed to Ohio, sold for $37. So 6 Rolling Stone cassettes. So we took him in that day, found out his lungs were filling up with fluid, and we had to put him down. So boom, again, instant. At this time, I had lost my companion because the other 3 are independents. They would listen to me, but they were their own people. So I don't know how time frames, but we've been here 21 years. So I'm going through a 21-year history of dogs in this house. So the next one, the same pet store was having another rescue, so I went up there. And it was a little black lab. And I'm just like, and I pick my dogs based on their energy levels. Like, I don't want a super hyper dog all the time because I can't stay on 10 all day. So here's this little black lab just sitting in front of the store. No collar, no leash, not just sitting there all on his own. Just watching people walk by, watching the cars go by. Very chill. I'm like, he's mine. They're like, well, we gotta let you know. He was left on a farm to survive on his own. So he ate a lot of wildlife and he's got a lot of issues. He's got heartworms. I forget whatever else. So I was gonna have to take him in for treatments. But they were gonna cover all the treatments. I'm like, that's fine. He's mine. So he ended up having it so bad they had to put him through. They fried his brain, basically. He turned into a different dog. He couldn't just jump around like he did before. Like before he started his procedures, he would jump up on the bed with me. If I'm like in the morning. Hold on, let me do this one real quick so I don't mess it up. 12-1. He would jump up on the bed, run up to my head, put his head right beside mine, turn it and flop on his back, and in like a minute he's snoring. I always got a kick out of that. So when they started the procedures, that ended. He couldn't just jump up anymore. So he was like a change puppy. So he's going through all that, and he would have seizures, start having seizures. So I'd have to care for him, watch after him. And then he started having, I guess, blood pressure issues. So I'd always have to take it in the palm, his paw pad, and keep an eye on it. Trying to think. I think he went next. Trying to think if he went next or Kane went next. I think Kane went next. Kane, his rear end just gave out on him. So it was just the same day again. He couldn't walk. We got this floppy hat here. Headed to California, sold for $14. So then we had Amy, Greyhound, Ginny Moo Moo, Greyhound, and Minnie. One weekend, we go Lake of the Ozarks with friends. The boys are here. They're watching the puppies. Adrian went. Alex was here, but because he had to work and stuff, so he didn't really like traveling with us at that age anyway. So he had to work. So he made sure all the pups were okay the day he left for work. That was the same day we were coming home. We got home before he got off work. So I walk in, and Minnie is the black lab. His nickname, his original name was Toto. And I called him Mini Monster because he was fighting through all that stuff. So, and he was a smaller lab than Rocco. So he was my Mini Monster. So we come back from Lake of the Ozarks, and he's laying in the living room dead. And we knew his health wasn't good, so of course that hurt. I lost my shadow. He was the first pup that I took out front of the house with, because I knew he would listen to me. He wouldn't take off. And he was kind of a shadow to me too. So he was the first dog I took out front. So as I'm taking him out front, of course the Greyhound girls wanted to go out. So I eventually started taking them out slowly, and he kind of taught them to stay. And I made sure they knew their baseline of the yard. If they went past it, no, get back. So every pup after Minnie knew the baseline of my front yard, and they would only go past it if they saw somebody to go say hi to, type of thing. One of the neighbors. And pet me. So Minnie passed. I'm out of a buddy again. Puppy bag. Minnie. So now we just got the 2 Greyhound girls. So that's when Stray Rescue started coming on the scene. Or I started noticing, I should say. So I go, I'm going to go down there and look for puppies. And they kept bringing all these dogs out. And they were all just high energy. And I'm like, no. I'm like, can I just go back and walk through? When I see the dog, I'm going to know that's my dog. So they finally let me go back in the back. So I walked the cages. I see all these high energy dogs jumping on the cages as I stop in front. I'll stop in front. And I probably took an hour to go through the whole back because I wanted to hit every cage, see every dog's temperament, if you will. Got all the way around the last 2 cages. Last 2 cages in the place. The first one I walked up to had an older dog in it, and she's very low key. And they kind of said, she's old, she's got problems, like this and that. Kind of steered me maybe away from her, or just let me know I wanted to. And then the cage next to her, hers was there, and then there was one right here. So I'll go over here, and there's one hyper dog in there, and then there was this little brown girl in the back. She was just laying there looking. I go, I want to take her for a walk. And it was Courtney. Took her out back. She just sat in the driveway or in the alley, just looking around, not a care in the world. I'm like, here's the pup. She's mine. So that was Courtney. So that was, I guess, 8 years ago. So then we had Jenny, Amy, and Courtney. So within the past 8 years, we're in this 8-year period now. Yes, it was let's see. So Minnie had passed, so I got them. So I knew she could go out front also and stay in control. So she learned her lanes really quick. And she was very timid because Amy and Jenny were more dominant than she was. So she was very shy and low-key. We got Janet Jackson CD. Headed to Pennsylvania, sold for $388. She was very low-key. There was a little neighbor dog, and they would all 3 run the fence with the little neighbor dog out front. So after that, Amy's rear end gave out. So we had to put her down that same day. And then not too long after that, Jenny broke her leg in places where they said it will not heal. She won't be able to walk. So we had to put her down that day. Now I'm left with just Courtney. So I started getting concerned about her because she was already low key. And I'm like, man. At this point, I was convinced that she was going to be my last dog. I didn't want another dog. Then the St. Bernard story started kicking in, right? Is this international? No, I just clicked the wrong form. So that's how I got Vern, which brought out her total personality. She was all of a sudden, I guess, the main dog, the dominant, but she felt like she had somebody she could play with, because she would try to play with Jenny or Amy, but they weren't play type of animals. They would every once in a while try to play, and like Sable at the beginning, she would want to play, but she was very uncoordinated to play. You would throw her a little football, and she'd always miss. Always miss. Would have made for a great viral video now. But anytime I tried to play catch with her, she always missed the ball. But so her personality came out with Vern. I'm like, all right, these two are going to be the last two. And they should pass about the same time. So. Cancer had other plans. Isaac Stern cassette headed to New York. Sold for $525. So now it's just me and Courtney again. After all these years of, my stomach is crazy. All these years of caring for animals and basically having people or animals I have to care for dictate my life. I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, I'm tired. I don't want to have to take care of nobody anymore, right? I mean, my dad, for all those years, and all the puppies here and there. And I'm like, cause even when we did go do things, I'd always feel guilty, for leaving them home. So on one hand, I don't want no more. On the other hand, I'm like, am I going to miss that companionship? I'm here all day by myself. When she's gone, how am I going to go crazy? So at this point, she is the last, because I gotta have some me time. Whether that sticks for long term or not, will be another. That'll be a future story to tell. But I need a break from all the death and the caring for her. My mind's just so tired. And I think that's why this eBay thing just some days just like beats me down even more, that they can't keep their shit together. And it just piles on, not just me, I'm sure a lot of you guys feel it too. It just piles more stress on life. And I'm tired. People always say, I wish I would hit the lottery, I'm tired of working type of thing. And I'm not in that same boat. Like, I don't wish I did. Sure, who doesn't want to hit a lottery? But like, it's not because I don't want to work. I just want to stop being tired. And it's not even winning the lottery. If eBay would work right, if eBay would work properly, that'd be a step in not being so tired. Because I'm always mentally beating myself up for their issues. I've got to, and it's taking care of Vern for 4 months now. It kind of makes it a little easier. Trust me, it's not easy, but it makes it easier knowing that he was struggling. He was in pain. And he rarely let on. Electronic promo CD single. Actually, it may not be a promo. Sold for $6. Headed to California. And like her, because of her back leg, she has a hard time going up and down the steps. So I don't know how long she'll be able to come down here. And I can't really take her for walks. That was the thing. Even before, I could never take her to walk. We'd get up the street and she'd have to lay down and rest and stop. And then we'd come back home. And she's always so skittish anyway, so I'm trying to decide if I just start getting a new routine, take her to the post office with me, see if she'll stay in the, get in the car and get comfortable with being in the car and stuff like that. So I'm trying to think of ways to give her something new since she's in a new position too. So she's not left here by herself and alone. Like if everybody else in the house is gone working and I got to run to the post office or something, she'll be here by herself now. Of course, that weighs on me, so I don't want to leave her alone. So, I have to figure something out there. But like I said, with her back legs, it might do more damage if I put her in the car. If I can't get her to lay down. All right, we got Cassette Lot, the Kinleys, and the Judds. Headed to Minnesota, sold for $12. So yeah, so I just got to figure that out. I'll call her before I close off the camera so you can see her. But so yeah. It was last night was weird. A whining woke me up, but it wasn't Courtney because she was snoring. Then I realized as I lay there trying to go back to sleep, I'd hear more whining. So I'm guessing my head's just programmed with Vern's whines. At about the time he would whine, I'd get up and make sure he was okay, or get up and take him outside. So like I get his whines are programmed in my head. So funny. Somebody enjoy that before it fades. Vulgar Boatman headed to Massachusetts, sold for $6.30. Where's all this coming from? The house is so much more quiet. Even when, when I'm down here on video, I'm listening. I'm upstairs, He's walking, thumping around. Or when he lays down, plop. Like this big old plop noise. But the fact that I knew it was coming and I got to spend the last 4 months with him was different than anything I've ever had to do before. Like I said, all the other ones were instant. K-Tel Records, the Heart of Rock cassette, added to Pennsylvania, sold for $7. So I'm thankful for that. Come on. You glued in. And of course you go through that whole, what's the point of life type of thing anytime somebody dies, right? At least me. Alright, this ain't coming up. You're like, wow. My nose is all running now. I can't even break the seal. There we go. And then I saw yesterday, I didn't even know, Facebook friend who watched my videos and stuff was always commenting. Chad Christopher died of cancer yesterday. I didn't even know he was fighting cancer. I don't pay too much attention to other people's posts because I don't really have time. But maybe he just never posted about it. I don't know. I feel like I was just talking to him the other day and he passed yesterday. It's just weird. When I say weird, life makes no sense. Makes no sense. Hopefully we get answers when we die. Like, we can look at whatever made us and go, what the hell were you thinking? Because everybody's got theories, but nobody ever knows. Truly knows. Believing you know helps you get through. For me, the thrill of not knowing gets me through. Because I'm always like, okay, there's got to be something more. Why am I standing? Why is this thing standing on this big thing? Why? Why am I here? Why are we here? This makes no sense. We just work and die. Work and die. And that goes back to my original thing. We were put here just to mine gold for some other. We're computer robots for another breed to mine gold for them. That's my biggest theory when it comes to the whole equation of things. Like, why are we here? We're workers. We were put here originally for working for somebody. Maybe they get everything they need, so Eagles cassette headed to, or 8-track headed to Italy, sold for $420. So not knowing what gets me through, you know. Trying to figure it out. Okay, CD Customs. 3/8, 8-track. 420. And of course, I need the damn code. I hear her snoring over there now. All right, got one more item here, and we'll see where we are dollar-wise. Since we're almost at 10 a.m. They're going to get some of my DNA. And then we've got Dallas Cowboys vintage youth jacket. Headed to Palm Springs, Florida. Sold for $44. Let's see. Let's fit in that box there. We got 15 by 10 by 7. Man. But when we got Vern, man, I was so low. Jan's health. My brother had passed. My dad had moved in. I was caring for him. It was overwhelming. We were still crawling out of that financial issue. A lot of stress, a lot of depression. I was probably at one of my lowest points ever when Vern came in. And I literally felt myself change. Like I felt like, I don't know. His presence just gave me like reason and purpose again. Like it was like almost like maybe a reward for all the stress and depression and overwhelmingness I was feeling at the time. You couldn't just look at him and not smile. His goofy ears and his goofy face. So happy. And he loved his food. You saw his video, you saw how skinny he was when he was left to die. He loved his food. Oops. End of day. Hopefully we don't have no snot rags on camera. If we do, I apologize. Okay, print out yesterday. Let's see if she still see if she comes with the sound of printer like he used to. Whoops. She's more of a wait and see person. Puppy. Ready, baby girl? She was sleeping. It may take a second. Well, let's see where we are money-wise. So we are at 9:53. I'm at 136. Not quite the low end. You ready, baby girl? She moved. Ready, Courtney? Come on. There she is. There she is. Stretch 'ems. Ready, baby girl? All right. Thanks, everybody. And we will see you in the next video.